You're welcome to today's lesson on the PEEL paragraph, the PEEL paragraph. You're welcome. Why is it important for you to write the PEEL paragraph? That's the P paragraph. Why is it important? It's actually very important because it gives you the critical skill to answer questions in English language, in essay writing. It's not just English language, even in other subjects. It will enable you to structure your paragraph in a very good and excellent way. So today we are going to be learning how to write the PEEL paragraph. That's the PEEL paragraph. This will help in your examinations, English examination. How do we write them? How do we construct it? We are going to be looking at it, not just looking at how to do them. We're also going to be seeing examples of a P paragraph, how it's being done, how it's written, the introductory words, the starters. We're going to learn how to use the starters. I will give you some suggestions of some introductory words that you can use to ace your exams and ace your paragraph. Your paragraphs will look good. I'm going to be dealing with that. How do we structure the point, the evidence, the explanation, and then the link, which is a final write-up. How are you going to do this? That's what we're going to be looking at right now. Let's quickly move on to the first one. The first one is the point. What is the point? Now, the point deals with you referring back to the questions. So you have highlighted your keywords from your passage, and then you are now ready to give in your answer. So that is your point. The writer said this, the writer said that. You can start like that. Refer back to your questions, and maybe you have a little issue. Maybe you are not able to identify your answer. It is very important that when you have read your questions, you go back to your extract or your source, and then you highlight those keywords that you need. From there, you will bring out your point, and then you can start with one way the writer shows, one way the writer wants to help us. This is a very, very good starter, or the writer effectively shows. These are ways you can use your starters and then make your point. Let's move on to the second one. The second one, which is evidence. Evidence means quotation from your text to prove your point. The point you've given, what are the evidence from the text that will show that, oh, this is actually it? This is a mistake that most students make. When you are picking your evidence, be very, very careful. Do not bring out words, chunks of words from your text. No. Pick out that point that is important so that your text won't look boring or chalky. Bring out that part that is important from your text and quote it out with your quotation. Of course, you need to put your quotation marks, your opening and your closing quotation marks. You add it to it, and then you make your point. And then that is it. You have made your point. You've given your evidence from your answer, and you can start with, for example. For example, the author said. For example, the writer said. Or for example, when you put your open and your closing quotation, and then you are done with your evidence. After evidence, we have the explanation. Just explain what you have just said. You can add techniques like this metaphor says. Probably your evidence was a simile or a metaphor or something. Then you can start, oh, this metaphor means, this simile is trying to say, or you can use starter like this suggests, this highlights. Starters like that will give your work a more straightforward and organized pattern. When you get your content right, you get your organization right in your writing, then you are good to go. So you can start your explanation by showing, prove your point. Explain that point to us. Explain the techniques, explain the point. Tell us that it suggests this, it highlights this, and then you are done. And finally, we have the link. When we talk about the link, what are we doing? This is the sum up of your passage. You can always link back to the question. Tell us that it relates to the question. So douse the writer. You can use that to start your link. So you are linking us back to the question. So we're going to be looking at an example from Animal Farm. Animal Farm is a very interesting story. I hope you've read it. It's very, very interesting. So we're going to take an example. I'm going to take an example from Animal Farm question. The question says, how does OL present the theme of power and control in Animal Farm? How does OL present the theme of power and control in Animal Farm? We're going to be looking at this example using our point, evidence, explanation, and link. We are going to see how we're going to answer this question using the PEEL paragraph. Let's pay attention. So we have the P, and we're going to use, remember the last time we said we can start our sentence with what? One way the writer uses. We can say the writer effectively uses, but I'm going to be using the one way the writer presents. So one way the writer presents power is through the character of Napoleon, who represent dictatorship. Now you can see that I have given my point. from the keywords and the evidence are found in the extract or the source or the text, I have been able to portray my point here and say that it is presented, the power is presented through the character of what? Napoleon, who represents what? Dictatorship. Okay, let's move to our evidence. Remember, for your evidence, I said you can use for example. So, for example, Orwell writes, then my open quotation mark, Napoleon took the puppies away and trained them as his guards. My full stop and then my closing quotation mark. What does that mean? I have brought out the evidence from the text to show the power that Napoleon is exhibiting, the fact that he took the puppies in and then he trained them to be his guards so that he can use them to harass or molest any animal that come against his will. So this is my evidence from the text. It's open quotation, closing quotation, and I'm done with my evidence. So we are done with the point and the evidence. Let's move to the next, that's explanation. Explanation, now we're going to explain what we just said. We want to tell them what it means. And remember, I told you when you're writing your explanation, you can start with your introductory or starters like this suggests, this alights. For you, I'm using this suggests. So we have this suggests that Napoleon uses fear and violence to control the farm, showing how power can corrupt leaders. I have shown you that everything I've said, the point, the evidence I've said is trying to show us that he uses power and violence to control the farm. Because why else is he training dogs to be his guards? He wants to use power and violence to control the animals, control the animal farm, and how power can corrupt leaders, how it can lead to corruption. Then I have, and now we're going to link everything up together, and we'll go to the link. Remember, I said you can use thus, the writer. In this case, the writer of Animal Farm is Orwell. So, thus Orwell is warning readers about how dictators use power to oppress others. So I have said that everything I have said is linked up to the fact that Orwell is trying to warn us that warn readers that dictators use power to oppress others. And then I'm done. This can all link up into a paragraph, and you have done your PEE paragraph. Remember, PEE paragraph, that's the PEE paragraph, is very important. It helps you to write a paragraph effectively and in an organized manner, and it helps you to organize your work, make your work, your points, your evidence, your explanation, and your link all sum up together to make a very good paragraph. Join me again next time when we can treat more ways to ace English exams. Thank you.